ready to go. How?
Do you know, I wanted to say to you, I'm so glad you've done your hair today instead of wearing a hat.
I was close to wearing a hat, bro. If I'm completely honest with you, I was very close to putting a beanie on because why am I going to do my hair? But I thought, do you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it for Sam.
Oh yeah, well, don't want it to feel any pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. I just got my new webcam, which is like a HD webcam.
Does look very nice.
I'm not streaming through this anymore, which is cool. Got the Macintosh up and running.
Nice. Looks nice.
So welcome everyone to the Myles Lewis Show, Season 1, Episode 7, the grand finale of Season 1, with Mr. Sam Campagna. How are you, Sam?
I'm all good. I just I keep laughing every time I see that photo of me get posted everywhere.
Yeah, it's like your infamous photo. It's like, do you know Sam? Are you the guy with that? Like, yeah, I know.
Can I tell you the origins of that photo?
Yes, please.
So I was on a photo shoot, shooting for Men's GQ, right?
Yeah.
And Liam Oakes was doing the photo shoot, and he was like, "Sam, look, do you mind just standing in front of the camera?" And I was having my morning coffee at the time. He goes, do you mind standing in front of the camera because I need to do a couple of test shots? And I was like, yeah, fine. So I'm just standing there like normal, and when I've got my normal face on, I just seemingly look like the most unphotogenic person you could ever imagine, right? So he's taking these shots, and I'm looking at the screen going, man, that just looks terrible. So I said, Liam, should I just like pretend I'm really enjoying this coffee or something? And he went, I'll do what you like. So I started going, oh, this coffee tastes so nice, like that.
And did it?
And he actually snapped the shot and he sent it to me, and it's just been used. I've been used so many times. It was never the intent. I've never had a headshot done.
And I like the way that now that is your headshot that is used in popular circulation.
I know. Yeah, it got dubbed by my mates. Kept on saying that you're doing a new Nespresso ad.
Okay. And because you're Italian as well, it's perfect. You know, like, okay, I understand. He understands coffee.
Well, you know, people used to think it was strange when we used to turn up at school when I was 7 with milk and coffee in our flask.
Yes. Yeah. Shout out to the Campagnas for that. Turning up to school with coffee. I'm Italian. Is that an Italian accent? I'm not sure.
It was an accent that, yeah, I don't know where its origins were from.
Yeah, no one does. What have you been up to in Loch Dizzy, in the Pandy?
I've been busy, to be fair. Yeah, probably like a lot of people. It's a bit of a good time to get on with, you know, other projects that are, you know, inside or outside work. And I've just been spending the time putting a whole new structure towards the business. So like how our model works. So we're now bleeding that through into everyone, but obviously everything's done over Zoom. So all the meetings and all the info is like fed to them, you know, via like a private YouTube channel, and everyone is updated that way. Done like a photography course and kind of started getting to grips with my camera a bit more and kind of bits like that really. And then, yeah, you know, probably like many people who've got kids, having a bit of family time and pulling my hair out, homeschooling.
Yeah, homeschooling is fun, isn't it?
I know that sometimes we can all sit there and go, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. And then I just can't wait for Maria to get home some days and be like, okay, yeah, you take over.
What does she do? What's the missus there?
So she works at a private nursery. So she's been working ever since, really.
Yeah.
So she teaches kids.
Yeah. April's in the hospital now. She's working in the hospital. So
yeah.
She's working through this lockdown. So it's me, like big papa / the teacher. Coming to the teaching. I go on the BBC website, go to Bite Size, go games, right? Education. And that's how education should work.
Well,
I enjoy it, and they are, and it's key. It's key. They do key stage up to whatever it goes up to, so they are learning. But it's definitely.
Hey, look, man, like I played computer games for years, and it's probably why I'm so decent at it now. And you can't see it here, but I've got my little racing sim rig in the corner, and I still do it now. And everyone always used to like, knock people for playing computer games. And then that one day, I clicked on this TED talk, and it said, this basically the evidence that kind of had disproven that people that play computer games were, less so in certain ways. But it was a really good TED talk.
It improves your peripheral vision, your awareness on the road.
Yeah.
Like it was all proven in a study. I saw it, and it's like, mum.
Yeah.
It's burning your brain. Get out, do something. No, I'm playing GoldenEye. You shut your mouth.
I'm still old enough to, be that generation that got left out on the street. So I definitely got the best of both worlds. But my life started with the Master System, and to wherever we are now.
Yeah, it's the same here, really. My first ever console was the Sega Mega Drive, and then look where we are, PS5.
Yeah,
I've got one of these Oculus Quests, the VR headset.
Oh yeah,
Standalone ones. They're pretty mental. They're not. I mean, the graphics aren't up there, but as soon as they manage to get the graphics to like 4K or even HD, that's going to be insane. Because it's insane now. That is going to be next level crazy when it gets to that clarity. It really messes your head up though, and if you get motion sickness or if you get anything like that, yeah, like I get off and I'm like sweating. Like that was 10 minutes of just pure adrenaline.
Well, I'll play racing games, like sim games. So like you have to immerse yourself in it anyway. And I've only ever played one racing game with that on, and I found myself just completely lost in another world. So when it gets good, I'll probably be lost to a few people for a while.
The girls will come in and be like, "Dad," and you'll just be like, "Goggles on." That's what I'm like. How's the rig? What I mean, I have seen it on online.
It's good. I upgraded. I'll twist it, but it's that thing there basically.
Yeah.
So
and what's it on it? Do you play your PlayStation through that, or?
Well, yeah, I've got it hooked up to an Xbox at the moment, but just play some like leagues online, and it's apart from actual go-karting, which I've done for years, but it's the only thing that I literally put my headset on, turn it on, and I forget about everything. It's that one little thing that
your voice.
I forget about anything going on. So it's almost like my rest time.
Yeah, meditation time, just getting it. You love your race, you love your F1, you love your go-karting. I remember once we came to yours, we had a barbecue, and then I was going to leave, but then I stayed to watch the F1, and I was like, who's that man driving that car? And you were like, oh, he's not Ferrari, don't talk about him. I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening there, but I enjoyed it. That was the most I've ever watched F1.
It's one of those immersive sports, isn't it? It's like you've got to fully dive in. It's not, you can't really, the casual viewer will always find it boring, but
and I was asking questions because it was interesting to see someone who is so involved in it and who loved that. And do you remember who else was?
I do, yeah. I don't remember what race it was or anything.
No, it was a few years ago now. Nice day. I remember it being a nice day. So you're homeschooling. You're doing the new fit of the business, like how you want it to run. And I've taken on a little bit. I'm changing it up a little bit as well with me. I'm trying to employ a few more peeps on the streets, get them in. I'm just trying to get a bigger team because where my location, you've been there.
Yeah.
If people see more people, there's more people going to come in, and it's just going to create a more of a buzz. So rather than just getting stuck in a rut where I'm just cutting, I want to be able to take a step back and look and be like, everyone's cutting and everyone's doing it, and it's progressive, like you did, because you cut a lot. And I suppose it does, you get stuck into that rut of just always cutting, and then all you're thinking about is the next cut rather than every single person around you, because it's hard to concentrate on so many things at once. That's what I'm personally trying to do, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, one thing I've done before this lockdown was it was the first time that I managed to kind of get some help into how I organise some of my thoughts in my head and my processes. So I got a little bit of guidance and help that way. And yeah, there are still days now where, even though I'm not on the shop floor 50 hours a week, there's some days where, you know, the size of our business with, you know, 21 staff, and like you know, that coming there that first day and you see it grow is probably my biggest pleasure. And even watching you do it is still, it gives me a lot of pleasure when someone is willing to risk, you know, themselves and their brand and their reputation to put these people in that position to help you grow. But at the same time, sometimes I just sit there and want to just go, do you know what, I just want to have that little bubble again where, you know, I can cut hair myself. And I think when you had the show with Alan Beak, I think he said something that I just can't remember nodding at it, and he was like, yeah, you would get that feeling, but it's almost like it all wouldn't be worth it if you just stepped off. And it's like, in a weird way, that's what holds you back. But as in, you know, in a weird way, you want to go back to that. But yeah, that should never hold you back, I suppose. But yeah, I want to concentrate on doing a bit more. And I know we had a little chat earlier, didn't we, about some ideas, and, you know, I want to focus on a little bit more of the you know, catalogue work and stuff like that. So
I think that's the next kind of step for yourself personally, from someone looking at you from afar. It's, you kind of checked off a lot, and it's just doing more like, I don't know, what's the word they use for doing like photo shoots, doing more
portfolio stuff.
Yeah, it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of that, and you do get quite a buzz off it, and the time goes very quick. It's boom, 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 and you don't have to rush haircuts or anything like that, but it's very fast paced. Where you do a haircut, then there's makeup, then there's shooting it, then there's styling, on set. And for me, I think that's really something you personally smash, because of your experience in the industry. And I think it's something that you really enjoy, because I know you like getting in your car and driving about as well. So that's, do you understand where I'm coming from? In some ways,
Yeah.
Because you've got ants in your pants a bit, you can get out and do all these things.
Yeah.
And then just experience so much more. And I guess once you're in the industry, that side of this industry, because we've done the shop, we've done the industry. Once you do the fashion industry, it will propel you to another level. And I think that's where I personally see us going ultimately in the long run. Do you know what I mean? Further.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I know we've known each other, you know, from when, you know, we either worked in shops or just had shops and stuff like that. And, you know, you probably know, well, you're probably one of the people that know that, you know, I've never been mad on like Instagram or, you know, even the work that we do in the salon. You know, the ratio of what we post is absolutely, you know, minimal, really. So I feel like I've never actually, you know, we only put up what we like, we only put up what's relevant. And that's great for us, and you know, the people that then do that is you know, the other side of that is great for them. But I really haven't given it enough of a go ever to go, okay, like bang. And you know, yeah, you're right, I love the little attention to detail, and things have to be right, and that's sometimes what actually holds me back. You know, I've said it in conversations before, like setting that bar a little bit too high sometimes doesn't make me do it. But at least there's been time this, you know, within this kind of period that we've got to, you know, think of a way that I can do it and incorporate it in my time. And you know, something has to give though, Myles. You know, like, does that mean I do less like in the shop floor, or you know, you know?
I think you've almost served yourself your own dues of being on that shop floor and not letting people down, because you don't want to tell people to do stuff that you're not doing yourself. It's going to come to a point where you will be working 2 days in the shop, and you're going to have to run the business from a step back a bit more, but I know how you work. We've worked together for years. We know how both of us strengths and our weaknesses. Your strength and weakness combined is getting too hands-on with everything you do, which,
Yeah.
which isn't a bad thing, but for your progression, I think could hold you back a little bit. But in the same breath, that's what's got you to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, within the shop, I suppose what's made, I don't do loads of the business side of it, but I certainly focus on the people development and the evolution of the shops themselves. How we're continually working on changing stuff, which is the bane of some of my back office staff. It's the bane of their life, because you come up with this new idea and like, what's wrong with the one now? It's like, okay, yeah, but this is like the next movement. But all that time within that shop, and what's made the shops grow the way we wanted them to grow, was I've just always channeled that, my time at the shop,
to
help grow those people. So it's not always been, oh yeah, I've got to work on a shop floor, because I can do it, the way I want to do it. It's actually more that I strongly believe always, and especially with me, that I have an employed team, is I've got to give them everything that I can, that I've got. I'll put all my hands up to say that I was probably one of the worst to think that if I was letting them down or someone else down, it would probably put me in a bad state of mind. But like I said, thankfully, I've got over that a little bit. It creeps back sometimes, but that's been a good step forward. So
you worry about keeping your due diligence kind of thing, and if you feel that you've let someone down, you can't really wipe your hands of that situation.
Yeah. And I suppose some of it comes down to the inherent fear of failure, isn't it? It's like sometimes you go out and beyond your duties to make sure that you don't fail. Whatever that is, in any given situation. But I think now, I'll be able to inspire them and help them, in that way, and focus on, helping them build their reputation and their portfolio and stuff like that. So it would just come from another angle.
It's like what I've seen you do with Ben, what you do with Glenn. They're two that really put themselves out there as well and want to do different things, kind of like we did 5 years ago. You're kind of getting into that position where you want to start putting yourself out there, but without guidance, it's very hard. And for us, we kind of, obviously you've been barbering for a lot longer time than I have, and I reached out to you when we were doing our guerrilla barbering movement.
Yeah,
and I feel I learned a lot from you, and you learned some from me, from a different aspect, not necessarily barbering or barber industry, but just about putting yourself out there a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, all of that was massively helpful, wasn't it? Again, it's different times, and arguably you grow into different people and do different things, but all of that was a great lesson. I think sometimes if we went back now and maybe took the approaches that we had now, you think actually we could have got it off the ground a lot quicker, because you just develop with experience, and I suppose doing stuff differently that you could have done another way.
Well, for us, it was we basically took on a new venture that was ultimately putting on shows and putting on events. We were events organisers, and that's not something I'd ever done before. But it was something that we like, if it wasn't for our driving forces, it would never have got done. It's very easy to say I want to do something, but we were on the phone to people, trying to get funds, trying to get insurance, trying to get a venue, trying to make sure we were legally covered with insurances, making sure that people were going to turn up. And I mean, there was people with us that were helping us, of course, and they were part of the team. But really, it fell on our shoulders to kind of, if we don't up our game to put it in, nothing's going to actually really happen. And I feel, for me, that's made me realize now, later on in my career, that the most important thing when doing anything is getting your face out there first, getting it done, and then you can almost slowly take a step back and push other people forward.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know, there's one time that I always giggle to myself is, do you remember that venue in the East End? I always forget what it was called. The one in the Arches, not the one we done.
Yeah, the Arches. Yeah, it was yeah, it was in the Arches.
Yeah, and I go past it sometimes, and I think that's such a big venue. And I just remember, like we were like, right, we need to book it, and I went, oh, do you know what, mate? I'll just put it on my credit card. It was just like, I mean, just like, I go, it's opposite the bike shed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one there. And I remember, like, people were just, Centre Point was around the corner, so we were doing it kind of for them at the time. We wanted to work with them, you know, a bit closer. What was the end goal anyway? But we had people just coming out of nowhere, like helping us, and you know, loads of people turned up. That yeah, we just organised it, and it was a bit like Fields of Dreams, wasn't it? It was like build it and they will come, and it was just like
100%. We put it out there, and we were just like, I don't know how it works, because these days I find it a lot harder to get momentum with things. But that just clicked, and a lot of people just were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they just like, even like Greg, the first time, when we did the first one, it was like Greg turned up. He was like, "Yeah, I'm here for Gorilla Park." I was like, "Yes," like people that had confirmed but hadn't really like you don't believe it until they're there.
Yeah.
And then that happened again at the second giant venue that we could have probably had a gig in there that cost us a lot of money.
Well, they use it for like art shows and stuff. And I go past there, and it'll be like, I don't know, some like DJ playing there, or like some big art show, and I just giggle to myself. And most of the time, whoever I'm with, I go, Joe, like we put on like a really random like charity hairdressing event in there. And they're like, did you? And you're like, yeah, and you kind of explain how it happened, and you're just like, but I think like that comes down to, I think me and you both, you know, any reservations aside, we've always just gone, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and all right, you know what, you can't always get these things right. And I suppose, you know, there's always maybe consequences if you behave that way all the time. But it was just, there was no other reason not to be, there wasn't any other option. Like we never thought, oh no, we're not going to do it. It was just like, no, we're doing it, and then find every which way possible to do it.
I like the way we booked the venue, then worried about funding. You put the deposit down, £1,500 deposit or something.
Yeah, it was.
And then we right now we've got to get this funded, and we managed to. You put a big chunk in, but we did eventually manage to get a majority of it covered. And realistically, now I would never do that.
Well, no. But that's that drive, that determination to, you know, push yourself to want to do something to get it right. And you know, like when you know you took the risk, you know, with that shop down there, and then you know, going back to what I was saying earlier, you know, when you take more people on, it is a risk, but yeah, you could sit there with a calculator and go, oh, you know, I'm not quite sure if it will work out. But the majority of the time, a lot of barbers and stuff like that, you know, do work off like, no, I believe it will happen. I believe if I get another guy in there, you know, we'll build a better business and stuff like that. And that's kind of what our behaviour was like, really. But you're right. You know, if now it was just like, yeah, go and do that, I'd be like, not sure about that.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Like at the time, you didn't even have the amount of shops you had. You had one, I think.
Well, I'm not sure the amount of shops has ever, you know, changed, has ever had a massive positive impact on, you know, I don't earn double for each shop, let's say, but
you hadn't had the experience of having so many multiple.
No.
You weren't as busy as you are now, thinking about so many things. And I had quite a lot of time because I was in a really quiet place where I'd literally been barbering just over, not even a year.
Yeah.
And we did this thing, and it was just like, Myles has got free time. He can talk to some people. Sam's got some money to back some of the bits we're doing. We're going to do it. And then if you want to join us and ride the wave. And if not, then it's fine. Whatever, you can do your own thing. And for me, it really propelled me into an industry that I was so new to. I mean, my idea of guerrilla barbering was 6 months into me even cutting hair. And I thought, why not? Let's just kind of go. And then you were on. And I think it was my naivety into things like that that maybe pushed people into just thinking, yeah, let's just fucking do it. Let's go.
It's a bit like first impressions, isn't it? It's like someone's confidence in something, you know, can cause people to be quite comfortable or go, oh, well, it must be, it must be good. It must be great because
doing it. I mean,
look, they look like they know what they're doing. And yeah, do you know what? We never actually got it wrong in terms of every event we done. But yeah, certainly, you know, you were much more. I lost my confidence over the years, but I've started getting that back. But you know, you were much more, you know, front, bang, straight in people's faces. You know, where I used to kind of quite like sitting in the back, and I've kind of changed that. But you know, it's like that dynamic worked really well. You know,
yeah, the balance was there.
Yeah,
and now I see you kind of, because yeah, you weren't confident in public speaking. You weren't and then we've had conversations. I remember we did something. I'm not sure if it was when I did a guest spot at the old shop, but it was something, and we were walking to get the car, and you and I really want to improve on how I come across on camera and how people perceive me, and I want to have my confidence back from when I was younger. I was like, all you've got to do is do it. And I've seen, like, where we haven't worked together so much in the last kind of, like, since COVID, just before COVID, I've seen you grow and become more confident. And for a guy who's in there, do you know what I mean? You're not a spring chicken. You're not learning to suck eggs. Do you know what I mean?
38.
You're nearly 40 years old.
Thanks, mate. 38.
I'm calling it nearly 40. But yeah, I've seen you progress. And I mean, that's inspirational for people because you've been in an industry for so long. People probably get to a certain point and think, I can't really do much more. But then there's something, you set yourself another goal and you propel yourself to get there. And I feel that's so important to kind of, like, the growth I've seen in you, without being patronizing, I've seen a lot from someone who wasn't that confident with themselves. Not necessarily, you were very confident with your skill set and your business mind, but you weren't confident in letting people know that. And I've seen that progression over the last kind of 3 years to a point where now you're a lot better. And you're like, I said to you, do you want to do the live? And you were like, yeah. Back in the day, it would have been like, I'll do it, but
yeah. I mean, what I learned by getting, you know, I don't want to go on about it, but what I learned with getting that kind of help, not to do that specifically, but just to kind of find out why I'd receded into those things, you know, that kind of person. And, you know, all these things take years and years and years and, you know, slowly chip away at you. And, you know, and you look at people, actually the person who recognised it, well, I recognised it in an interview that Joff Davis done once. And, you know, he came out and he said it. And sometimes I was a little bit shocked when people come up and say, you know, I've done this and I've sorted this out. And everything he said, I was just like, I'm not unique in that way. Like, do you know what I mean? I've worked with Joff on certain things. And, you know, when we've done photo shoots together, there's not much we have to say to each other to be organised, you know, but he recognised it. You know what? He'd be on the phone to me. He'd just ring me up on a random day and be like, have you made that call yet? And I've put down the phone, absolutely buzzing. And it was almost for the fact that you almost felt like someone cared enough to ring you. So he pushed me into doing that. And he wouldn't let up. So I have got him to thank for certain parts of that. But, you know, then you hear it with, you know, Alan Beak and certain other people that, you know, you've got to work on your own development anyway, you know, and, you know, that becomes a bigger drive. And so, you know, I've always been inspired by everyone around me, but even, you know, when people used to ask me stuff like that, I don't really have a definitive answer into who inspires you. But of course, you get a whole industry together and all the positive bits from our industry, and you'll always find inspiration, whether it be from, you know, the top people or, you know, a guy by himself working in a barbershop. It's just, it depends what you're looking for. So I'm glad I'm you know, at least halfway over that hurdle. But I've done every stage show at school. I was the main actor in every show at school. So it was always a little bit, I never really understood why, you know, I ended up receding that way. But, you know, all I can say is that I reckon it was, you know, building up that fear of judgment or fear of failure more and more and more as I went on. You know, I knew that the hairdressing side, I knew where I was with that. And I'm not saying I'm the best, I'm not saying, you know, but I can work around a problem with most haircuts. I can resolve that issue, you know, as a subject. So I've always been confident with that. But I suppose I just put my eggs in that basket for so many years that, yeah,
that was your norm.
Yeah, that became my normal. Yeah.
And then, but there is so much more to you. And I suppose where you've got your head down, you focus so much on certain other things in business, because you were business first, industry second, which is amicable. You know, like there's other people that are completely the other way around, but for you, it was always business first. And I think you've got your head in the sand a little bit doing that, which is fine, because that's what pays your bills. That's what kids, you know. And I think you just, one day it just clicked in your head when you were doing more public stuff that, oh, I need to address this a little bit, because I was so confident when I was doing the shows, like as a kid, like when I was doing drama and things like that. You realize you have that about you, but you've maybe lost that bit of yourself, and now you're gaining it back, and it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes sometimes, you know, certainly me, sometimes you think, why should I say that? I mean, people aren't going to want to know about that. But do you know what? There's always just someone who wants to know something about anything that you've got to say. And again, it was getting, you know, over those bits. You know, I could do, you know, so many videos on so many things, but the only thing that would stop me would think, oh, people don't really want to hear about that. But why wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You're still free to say it, you know.
If you think about who's popular now on YouTube, is adults playing with toys. And surely when that guy, whoever did it first, that guy started playing with toys, thought, no one's going to want to watch this. This is odd, but I'm going to do it because I want to do it. And do you know what I mean? As you say, there's audience for anything these days.
Anything.
You've got the media outputs that we have. Let's make some creative stuff happen and actually
absolutely, yeah,
and make the most of it, especially in lockdown. Now, like the last kind of 6 years, I've been cutting hair and getting into business and moving forward with a completely different career to what I was involved in before. It's been a whirlwind. I've been very busy. I've been very shop to shop to shop, learning my trade, wanting to get as much of this industry that I can get in such a small space of time. And then we've gone into lockdown, and then I've taken a step back and I've realized there is other avenues that you can throw yourself into. And the barbershop isn't, I mean, it is my life, it's my livelihood, it's my passion, it's my drive. But there's other bits you can take from that and purpose it elsewhere, into media, into different outlets like the podcast. I've been writing a mockumentary, this show. You know, like I was doing lives with the Osmo guys and things like that, just to put myself out there. It's other bits in the industry that I really do love, like when we're doing shows, when I'm hosting Salon International or whatever we do. You know, it's really kind of made me find my feet with what another passion of mine is, and that is public speaking, interviewing, building relationships with people over Skype, over Zoom, over anything.
Yeah.
And kind of taking it into another level. And that's what obviously our conversation was similar.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's very important now. I've realized there is space for me to push on in other ways, which will benefit my foundation, which is the barbershop. I think it's really important that I do that and push forward with it. Yeah,
I totally agree. You know, I think a lot of our skill set, you know, I know the majority is hair cutting. But, you know, the things that come with that, you know, especially if you're someone who, you know, has great client retention because you're really good with people and talking to them. That's an example of a skill set you can take and go and do somewhere else. Like I've always loved designing my shops, that, and the ergonomics and how things work, and why a certain light has to be that color and not the other color.
Sure.
But then I've been asked to help people, and help and consult people on doing certain things, and I've done one for free the other week, and that experience, I don't think it's abnormal to think that way, and yet I just kind of done this, helped organize and design this home salon for this person. And when you hear the feedback of someone going, yeah, I never would have thought of that, and it's only because I made the mistake, I know that, but I would think of the problem first and stuff like that. And sometimes you think, well, that's another thing you could take and go, well, I want to go and do that. Yeah, well, you might have to retrain or something, but there's so many aspects, especially that a lot of us are quite artistic, there's so many things you can take and do to grow your barbershop in a different way, like you just said.
Yeah, I think it's very important, and I think the more, like, people say, oh, Myles, how do you get to be an ambassador or whoever? How do you get to do shows? How do you get in the magazines? How do you do this, that, and the other? And it's kind of all I really know, because I've been in the industry for such a short kind of space of time. The first thing, within the first year of that, we were doing like salon internationals and barber connect. And for me, that's always been part and parcel of it. And it was very important for me to get my name out there as quickly as possible and try and create a bit of noise, because I was 26 when I came into barbering, and I knew like my fresh year's worth behind me. I wasn't an 18-year-old apprentice that's come up and started doing it. So I wanted to hit the ground running. And for me, it's just, as I said in my show with Justin, it's all about putting the legwork in and opening doors for other people. So I feel doing things like this now, going that extra mile and doing what we spoke about earlier about telling everyone what we're planning. But things like that, I really feel will take you the extra mile and get you a lot more recognised. And I mean, the barber industry in the UK is a lot different to the barber industry over in the US. Like, superstars almost over there. But here, I think we're now bridging that gap and being, as you said, we're all artistic and we create a lot. With lockdown, I said this with Justin, we need to fill that void of creativity.
Yeah, I remember that.
And even if it just grabs you by the balls almost, you just do it. And I urge anyone who's listening or watching or has taken any advice, even if you're doing like architectural stuff like you would do, designing anything, just you can be creative. Don't let mental health get you down in a lockdown. Try and grasp something that you can fill a void of creativity with and just go and do it, because ultimately, how good did it feel that we actually did two really big events with guerrilla barbering when we had no prior experience of doing something in that grandeur?
Well, I think we've done 3 big events, if not 4, because we've done the footballs, the homeless FA at Old Trafford, which was a big one. Were you there? I can't remember.
I was at the first 2, but the one we did at the warehouse opposite Old Trafford.
Yeah, and then you guys done the sleepover.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And then we done where we hired the 2 venues to do that shop. So that I always look at that as, it was 4 big ones.
Mate, that sleep out, you couldn't make it because it was, what was it?
Because I didn't want to sleep outside.
No, you said to me, I can't make it, it's Thanksgiving, my dad's American, we celebrate Thanksgiving. I was like, and I didn't want to offend and say, Sam, come on, man. So I said, all right, no, that's fine. But yeah, and I snored and kept everyone awake in our tent.
It's a bit like, I always felt like at that moment I should have turned around and gone, Liar, liar, where he goes, I lied. Like, I just really wanted to say that at that point.
No, but till just then I thought it was because of that.
No, it wasn't. My mum still thinks that I fell over playing football once when I fell off a motorbike when I was in Italy when I was 14. So, but I just never went back and told her. What's the point?
Yeah, no, don't break her heart.
No.
Right, I've got to wrap this up. We've gone a little bit over time. We haven't talked about anything that I had written down, but that makes it even better for me.
Cool.
You can follow Sam on Instagram, Facebook. Type in Alternative Barbering Co. and you'll find the Harpenden shop, the Hitchin shop, the St Albans shop, and the Berkhamsted shop. I think it said Bulldog. The one in Bulldog?
No.
No. So you can find them. You can follow Sam Campagna. You can follow me at Myles Lewis Barber. You can have a look at my podcast at Pulled Up Socks Pod. And this is on Insta, this show at Myles Lewis Show. So Sam, it's been amazing talking to you. I will give you a call in a couple of days because I have had an email back from someone regarding what we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
And you need to tell me if you've spoken to certain people as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been lovely. Say hello to Maria and the kids.
Yeah, you too. You say that to you a lot.
I will do. And I will speak to you probably tomorrow later after this or tomorrow or something.
Cool.
Everyone who's listening, thank you very much. This is the end, the finale of season 1. I'll be back season 2 in a few weeks' time with some new guests. Not all barbers this time. It's going to be a bit broken up. Got some different bits and bobs going on. So thank you very much for enjoying season 1 with me. Sam, thank you for ending season 1 with me. And I will speak to everyone very soon. Sam, take care. Much love.
Cheers, bro.
See ya.